So Metallica is on tour celebrating their new album 72 Seasons, and I happened to catch the two shows that they did at Metlife Stadium here in the greater New York City area in East Rutherford, New Jersey. And the band gave me one of the top 5 worst concert experiences of my life, and also one of the top 5 best concert experiences of my life. Let me explain. What's up, everybody? My name is Chris. I am an audio engineer of 17 years. And if this is your first time checking out one of my videos, please consider liking and subscribing. That would really help the channel out. But I'm sure you're here because I'm one of the people that is criticizing Metallica, and we all know how faithful those Metallica fans are. Now, don't get me wrong. I am a humongous fan, emphasizing on the humongous part. I am a big fan of Metallica. I have listened to them since I could actually listen to music. And Metallica from the 80s to roughly the early 90s is unstoppable of a run. I mean, I put them right up there with the Beatles as far as accomplishments, notoriety, and just how good the music was. I mean, from Kill 'Em All to the Black Album, even though I'm not a fan of the Black Album, you can't deny how amazing they are, and especially how commercially successful they are. I mean, an entire new generation of fans discover Metallica because of Stranger Things, and that's just awesome for the band. But the one thing that I've never experienced before with Metallica is actually seeing them live. Throughout the years, I either could not see them due to scheduling conflicts, I had something else going on, or the most common answer being the tickets were way too expensive. I'm talking like my next 2 paychecks have to be already accounted for in order for me to actually buy a ticket to see them. And if you go to any of their VIP meet and greets, you know firsthand just how expensive it is to be a fan of this band. But I got very lucky and I was able to get a 2-day pass to their show at Metlife Stadium. I was all the way up in the rafters, just like Sting in WCW. I was near the very top of Metlife Stadium. In fact, actually, I was probably 4 or 5 rows from the very, very top in the 300 section. In fact, I'll superimpose right here exactly where my seats were. I think I was in section 310, row 24, seats 1 through 4. And before anyone starts trolling in the comments, LOL, stop being poor, because I know some of you are gonna do that. It's all I can afford. You know, as I was scoping out tickets to go to the show, I was seeing them go for $200, $300, $400 a pop, just a couple rows down from where we were. And if I wanted to get into 200s or the 100 section, forget it. I was paying an arm and a leg. And that wasn't even including the taxes and fees that came with getting these tickets. But I digress. I got tickets for what the 4 of us could afford, and we wanted to go and enjoy ourselves. Mostly because not only do I get to see Metallica for the first and second time, I got to see, well, at least I thought I would get to see, I'll explain in a second, Pantera performing. A reunited Pantera, obviously without Vinny and Dimebag Darrell, but they have Zakk Wylde on guitar, so I'm a big fan of Zakk Wylde, so I really wanted to see Pantera and check out their set, but I didn't, because I'll explain. The Friday show and the entire experience going Friday was abysmal. It was disappointing all around. And a lot of things went into why the Friday show was just trash all around. First and foremost, the traffic just simply getting to MetLife Stadium. I mean, I grew up in New Jersey my whole life. I've been to countless events at the old Giant Stadium and also MetLife. I've seen football games, concerts, you name it, at that stadium. And I know just how bad the traffic can get. And with the new American Dream Mall that's actually open now, instead of looking like an old Lego set put together, man, that was an eyesore for years driving on Route 3. And not to mention, it was also harness racing night at the Meadowlands racetrack. So we had 3 big sections of traffic to get into the parking facilities at MetLife. And between rush hour traffic, just simply getting to the venue and getting into the parking lot, took almost 3.5 hours. And most of that time was spent on the bridge before MetLife Stadium on the westbound side of Route 3. It took almost 1.5 to 2 hours just to get from the bridge to the entrance of the parking lot at MetLife Stadium. So I missed Wolfgang Van Halen's set, and as we were pulling into the parking lot, I heard Pantera's set going on from Metlife. So I was like, oh my God, I'm missing Pantera. Truth be told, I was more excited to see Pantera than Metallica on Friday night. So by the time we parked, Pantera set was over. I missed Pantera. So we finally get in and we get our seats and we're ready to go. 5 minutes later, Ecstasy of Gold was playing. I'm like, okay, I am very happy. I at least get to see Metallica's full set. And before I give all the criticisms of this show and what I think of it, let me just make something emphatically clear. The set list itself for both the Friday and the Sunday show of this tour is amazing. It's an incredible list of songs. I'll superimpose it right here so you guys can see it. It is a wonderful set of songs from their catalog. A lot of the hits that you want them to play. A couple of obligatory new songs from the new album, but to be fair, the new album is kind of good. I kind of like 72 Seasons. It is a wonderful, diverse set of their songs. And the performances were good. James, I don't know how the hell the man is 60 years old and he can still downpick his guitar faster than anyone I've ever seen. His voice was on point. Kirk's solos, the solos that I could at least hear, and Lars's drumming, all spectacular. Even Rob's bass just sounded awesome. Again, what I could hear. So the lights dim, Ecstasy of Gold plays, and right after Ecstasy of Gold, they go right into Creeping Death, which you would think, oh my God, amazing. I don't know if you heard that or not, but from where I was, you get to now hear the #1 complaint that I have with this show, this stage design, everything involving this show, and why it was such a miserable concert experience on that Friday show. To put it simply, whoever designed Metallica's set and speaker setup for this tour needs to be fired. Like, even from not a sound guy's perspective and someone who actually does live sound for a living, there were people behind me, all around me, complaining about the sound the entire show. And then when Metallica was going on, even halfway through their set, like, we were still hearing the echo issues. And we realized that it wasn't a live mix. It wasn't the sound guy's fault. It wasn't anyone's fault. It's the literal physics of their set design. Going on about, Metallica has a gigantic circular stage with a pit in the middle of it, what they're calling the snake pit. If you want to pay thousands of dollars to stand for 4 hours for a show, that's your prerogative. But the good thing is you get to be in this middle of the stage and you get to be basically in what looks like a giant donut hole while the band goes around the stage all throughout the set. It's really cool. It's a cool design, but that gives me the #1 problem, and quite frankly, anyone who goes to these shows, the #1 problem, especially if you are sitting all the way up in the rafters like I was on Friday. And that is the way the sound works. See, out of the circular stage, they had pillars surrounding the stage with line array speakers pointing in their general direction, which means just imagine the circle right here. They had pillars going this way, this way, this way, and all around. And every opening band used that entire system, which on a tour like this, that's to be expected. But the problem with this design, and quite frankly, the Achilles heel of how a design like this works, is how the sound travels in the venue. So you have speakers pointing in all directions. What do you think is going to happen when Lars hits his snare drum and it goes on the speakers and you're sitting down here? You hear the line array. In theory, you should hear the line array pointing towards you and you should hear it just fine. But what you'll also hear is the reflection on the wall from the line array pointing in the opposite direction. Now, if you got lucky and you were in the 100 or 200 sections sitting directly in front of the line of sight of the line array, you'll be fine. But I saw all over social media and also on my post in the community section when I was talking about this, a lot of you were there too, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. In short, where I was in the 300 section all the way at the top of the venue, the line arrays weren't even pointing towards me. And the line array that was kind of sort of pointing, if I'm looking at the stage straight, the line array was pointing sort of there, which in theory should be no problem because the way line arrays are designed and the way they work, they cover a wider spectrum. I'll link below a video explaining how line arrays work and why they're so much better than the traditional, like, you know, square speakers set up like they used to do back in the day. I'll link a video below so you guys can actually see what I'm talking about as far as line array systems go. But in theory, that line array, I should have still been able to hear it. But the fact is, I didn't. What I heard instead was the sound bouncing off the floors, bouncing off the walls of the venue, and then finally coming to me. I heard more clarity from the sound bouncing off the Verizon gate clear across from where I was sitting than the line array that was supposed to be pointing towards me where I was able to hear it properly. The simple fact is, Metallica was unlistenable on Friday, and I couldn't understand a word that James was saying. I couldn't understand a single guitar solo that Kirk was playing. And I don't know how Metallica is doing their backline. I don't know how they're doing their sound, but I didn't see any pedals on the stage. I didn't see any remote controls on stage where Kirk can control his amp volume. So my guess is Kirk has someone behind the scenes that is activating the amps in the right order for the right solo at the right time. And I heard a lot of popping from his guitar, which sounded a lot like when someone flips the amp on and off, unplugs a cable. It just sounded terrible.
Cassette? You still have cassettes? All right. Let's play some more new stuff. Okay?
I didn't hear Lars's kick drum. I didn't get punched in the gut from his kick drum because the subs were all on the floor there. And I wasn't really expecting to hear a lot of low end, but I didn't hear any of the kick drum at all. I heard the snappiness, I heard the clickiness of the kick, but I didn't hear any of the low end. And then there is the greatest sin of all of this, and that's just how the line arrays were aimed, how the set design worked, and you just simply cannot do a circular stage design with speakers pointing in all directions and expect every single person in that stadium to have a good experience listening. And to be fair, I don't think I'm crazy for saying this, but if you're paying this much money to see this caliber of an act live, it doesn't matter where you sit. You should be able to hear the act performed, and you should be able to hear everything as perfect as if you were down on the floor. And to further my point, here is a picture of my point of view from the Rammstein set when they were at Metlife just a few months ago. You notice how the line arrays are all pointing away from the stage in one universal direction and actually aimed up at the upper tiers of the stadium? Whoever designed that system for Rammstein needs to do the same thing for Metallica, because I heard everything crystal clear at that Rammstein concert. Same thing when I saw Paul McCartney. All the line arrays were pointing away from the stage in one motion, and I was able to hear Paul play no problem whatsoever. I know this footage is really old, and this was taken on cell phones before smartphones were actually able to take good video. You notice how you can hear everything clearly in all of these examples? Granted, again, the audio quality is probably garbage to you because, well, smartphones today are a hell of a lot better than smartphones from 2012, 2008, so the video quality is probably not the best, but it emphasizes my point. Now, to further explain scientifically what's going on, I do have to get a little bit nerdy. For those of you who really just don't give a shit about this part, I'll just superimpose some cute puppies over here to distract you. Here's the thing about sound. It doesn't travel as fast as light. Light is instantaneous. Sound takes time to get from the source to the destination, and it's actually very easy to see this in person. Next time there's a lightning storm outside, look for the lightning and then time how long it takes for the thunder to get to your ears. It would take 0.13 seconds, roughly, for light to travel around the Earth once. The moon is around 239,000 miles from Earth. It would take light less than 2 seconds to get from the Earth to the moon, when it took the Apollo astronauts almost 4 days to get there. Don't look up at the sun, but next time you see sunlight, know that it got here around 8.5 minutes after it was generated from the sun. To put that in perspective, the sun is over 90 million miles away from Earth. Basically what I'm saying is, light is really fucking fast. Now let's compare that to sound. On a very clear day with optimal weather and temperature conditions, the speed of sound is roughly around 761 miles an hour. You can actually see the sound barrier being broken in real time. Just go to any air show and I'm sure they're gonna have an F-16 or F-15 jet fly by you and you're gonna see a little cloud surrounding the plane. That's the plane breaking the sound barrier, or quite simply, Mach 1. There's a reason why if you go to a baseball game and you're sitting in the bleachers in center field, if the batter hits the ball at home plate and you're sitting in the bleachers, there's a little bit of a delay from the sound of that bat hitting the ball from the time that he hit it to the sound actually getting to your ear. You even see it in drum recordings. Next time you record some drums, look at the difference between when the drummer strikes the snare drum and when the sound of the snare drum being hit goes from the snare drum microphone to the overheads. The overheads are just a couple of feet away, but when you zoom in and actually see the sound wave, you see that it's not hitting the microphone at the same time. Okay, say goodbye to the puppies. Now that we understand a very basic understanding of what sound is compared to light and how fast it travels, now you can hopefully understand my biggest complaint about seeing Metallica on the Friday show at least. Again, whoever designed this stage for Metallica needs to be fired because there's no way that they didn't take this into consideration. Metallica is one of the biggest bands in the world and arguably one of the biggest bands of all time. So they have top of the line gear, they have top of the line engineers, they have top of the line employees that work for this band, work for the production company putting on this tour, and they have every resource available to take this into consideration. So for this to happen, it's completely unacceptable. Now let's fast forward to Sunday, and Sunday was a completely different animal because as we were going up to our seats, Ice Nine Kills was playing, and did the echo issue get fixed? Nope, it didn't get fixed. So we waited for Ice Nine Kills to finish so we can go get concessions, snacks, and get some late lunch because I would rather eat burnt hot dogs at Metlife than watch Five Finger Death Punch. So as we were walking around trying to find some food, we realized, well, wait a minute, the bars in the venue, they have standing room. So what we did on Sunday was we went to the 100 section, went to one of the bars there, and just hung out there. We were able to see almost the full width of the stage from the entrance ramp where you would walk down the stairs to get to your seats. The ushers were super cool. They let us hang out there along with a bunch of other people that were hanging out there. And if I wanted to get a couple clips for this video, I just simply raised my phone up and I was able to get footage. You guys even saw me stream the last 1/3 of the concert, so if you haven't checked out that stream, I'll just link that below as well. The point is, I was able to hear everything crystal clearly with zero issues at all, mix-wise or like levels-wise. Everything was perfect, and I was able to appreciate how good the front of house engineer was of getting that mix sounding as good as it did. It sounded incredible. Unfortunately, we started to hear how good this production sounded during Five Finger Death Punch's set. They opened their set with the I Love You song from Barney, and that just gave me ultra cringe vibes, and I'm just not a fan of them. But nevertheless, Metallica went on, and it was a wonderful experience seeing them. Again, the ushers were super cool, and the set list, again, was just mwah. It was perfect. It was everything I could have ever wanted. They played every song I wanted them to play.
To the usher right here, he said I can stand here as long as I don't cross the boundary and block people, so yay. So this is fucking incredible. So how they're doing this whole drum changeover thing, they started like maybe like 40, 50 feet increments, and like it's acting like a clock. So Lars started at like 6 o'clock from where I'm standing. They started at 3, then noon, then 9, and he's gonna end the set there. How they managed to get his set around the stage perfectly mic'd, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how efficient this crew is. They're doing the drum changeover and guitar change now, so this is why I'm talking. This is about like maybe halfway, maybe 3/4 of the way through the set. And also, it sounds night and day better compared to where I was in the 300s, like 2 levels up. I couldn't hear shit up there Friday night. Nothing but echo. Oh shit, blackened.
And we went home with arguably one of the top 5 best concert experiences of my life, and along with one of the top 5 worst concert experiences of my life. If you want to go see Metallica on this tour, they're in a couple of US cities before they go back overseas to Europe. Please go see them. It's well worth it. And if you can afford it, get the 2-day passes, because they're treating the Friday and Sunday shows as like part 1 and part 2. And it's actually genius marketing. It's like Apple level of marketing. They make you want to buy the 2 tickets to go see them. Because if you look at each set again, it's like, oh, that's great that they played this, but why didn't they play this during this set? And vice versa for each day. So if you only got to see them one of the days, you're gonna miss out on a lot of their good songs. It's actually kind of genius of how they designed this. But if I want to give you any piece of advice on going to see this show, if you have tickets for this, see if you can upgrade your seats. If you can't upgrade your seats, go find a bar or a standing room section on the lower tiers in the 200 sections or 100 sections, wherever, and just watch from there, because trust me, if you're in an open stadium, you will not hear anything in the 300 section if you're sitting all the way up there, because the sound will be impossible for you to identify and hear clearly. So that's it, guys. I just wanted to make this video real quick because I have a list of bands that I've never seen but I really want to see badly, and I was able to finally cross Metallica off that list. I overall loved the entire experience. Again, they played the best songs of their catalog, and it was just an awesome show to see. The set design, however, is trash, and even though it looks cool, it's just trash from a sound perspective. So again, if you can see these guys, please go see them, and pray that if you are sitting in the 300 sections or in the upper tiers, pray that you can hear it clearly. If not, find a bar or a standing room in the venue on the 200 or 100 section, and you'll be able to hear it crystal clear then. That's it, guys. I'm out of here. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.